What's up, YouTube? Today we are going over my Ableton Live template.
Bad tabs. Bring it.
All right, we're in the DAW. So I'm going to show you guys from my Ableton project template from top to bottom and left to right as well. So every time I open this up, I have a couple of markers already set for me. 8-bar intro, 8-bar verse, 8-bar build, and a drop. Most of the time when I'm writing my songs, I start with the drops, or if I have a really cool idea for a verse, I'll start here. And this lets me know automatically how I'm going to start structuring my song, which is a big thing to keep my creative process flowing. All right. So from the top to bottom, I have a spot for a reference track. If there's a song that I am referencing, throw it in here, use it as a quick reference instead of having to keep going in and out. And it's also nice to be able to reference it layered with your stuff. When you're setting up a reference track, make sure this is set to out and not master, because you don't want anything from here going through your master. Then I got my vocal channel. It's just a couple of empty audio channels ready to go. Drums. I have my drums set up into two different things, subgroups. I got my kick and snares and my hats and tops. And then I also have the trigger for my sidechain. Inside of the kicks and snares, I have a drum rack ready to go with a bunch of snares and kicks that I often gravitate towards. This keeps the creative process, again, flowing for me. I don't have to stop what I'm doing, go find the drums. I have the drums that I already like ready to go. I can make my patterns very fast. And it's also helpful using the drum racks if there's a, like, oh, I don't like that kick. Drag and drop your new kick, and then you just change it on the MIDI notes. It's super easy. So let's say you got a bunch of these and you're like, oh, I don't like these. You can just grab these, move them down, which is a little bit easier than working with samples. And then I have audio channels as well. If there's a sample for a kick or a snare that I really like, instead of using one of these, I put it in here, or I'll use these for like the build-up kicks and snares, or the verse kicks and snares as well. And I have all of these set up in a kick and snare group for a particular reason. The farther down we'll go, we'll get into why I do that. Hats and tops, just some basic audio channels, a little bit of width. That's the drums. Then I have my sidechain channel. It's grouped between 4 other groups. You have the effects, intro, verse, drop, and then the subs. I have my effects section, which is just where I'd be keeping all of my impacts, risers, sweeps, down sweeps, all that good stuff. And I always make sure to have these turned down right away, because most of the time I feel like the effects are just way too loud. Intro and verse. I have instruments ready to go. So again, most of my Ableton project file is just to help with my workflow. You can take some tips from me, but also we might be a little bit different. You might have a different workflow, so find out what works for you. So in here I got 2 different pianos ready to go, a Serum, a Vital, and then 3 audio channels. So if there's a particular sample that I found or that I like, drag and drop that in here and then work around there. If there's a melody I'm thinking in my head, I'll get that written down on a piano real quick, throw it on the Serum, and then flip through presets on my Serum, see how that melody I created sounds through there. All right. Then we got the drop. This is where all the mid basses and all your dubstep is going to hang around, for me anyways. So in here I have it set up. Inside the drop is 2 subgroups. I have drop and sound design. I have Vital, Serum, and a couple of audio channels. This is where I do a lot of like my freezing and flattening and post-production stuff. And then once I find something, once I create something that I really like within here, I will drag and drop it into here and start turning this off as I start exporting all of the sounds that I know for sure that I like into this section here. And then my subgroup. I have a couple subs pre-loaded, ready to go. Same thing as the drums. Like, these are the subs that I'm always searching for and using. So instead of always searching for and using them, I have them preloaded, ready to go. And it makes it super easy, because let's say we're using this one, but let's say that a lot of the basses that we're using have a lot of noise. This sub has a grip of noise. It's like, oh, okay, well, let's try this one instead. I don't have to try too hard to try different settings. I don't have to keep loading new instruments and copying and pasting. All I have to do is move my clip around to my different subs that I gravitate towards. And it really helps with the creative process for me anyways. One thing that I do recommend is saving all of the things that you make. So for example, 9 times out of 10, when I am opening up a new audio track, Command T, I have my audio tracks automatically open with a EQ8 cutting off the lows at 100. Because 9 times out of 10, the first thing I'm doing when I'm opening an audio track is grabbing an EQ8 and throwing it on. So you can do this by making a new track. Let's pretend that this isn't on there. We're going to throw an EQ8 on it. And then right click, save as default audio track. This will make it so anytime you make a new audio track, this is how the default is looking. You can put any amount of effects on there and do that same thing. Right click, save as default audio track. And same thing for MIDI. Command Shift T to make a new MIDI track. I have mine automatically open up with the Serum. So if we right click, save as default MIDI. If you use Vital a lot, if every time you're opening up a Command Shift T, a new MIDI channel, you're throwing a Vital on there, do that. Throw a Vital on there. And then make this save as default MIDI track. Yep. So now every time we open that up, and Vital opens up. And that's just, again, helping the creative process, not having to stop what you're doing to get where you want to go, right? Oh, I want a Serum. Let me just open up a new MIDI channel. Let me go and search for Serum. Let me drag Serum in. Now I'm in Serum. Instead, you can just hit Command Shift T and your Serum or your Vital is already loaded, ready to go. All right. Make our way down. My sends. So my first one, this one's just like the stock Ableton delay send. Pretty sure. This one right here, the side chained reverb. This is a huge thing for me. Go ahead and copy all these settings if you want. I have a compressor side chaining to the kick and snare group. And if you remember, that's why I put all of my kicks and snares into one group, and that's for a send purpose with sidechain compression. So for me, this really acts as giving good space in the mix. Usually I just set it around like there and forget about it. It really helps your drops fill out some of that space. And if you're sending your whole drop into this channel, they're all living in that space, that room reverb that you have created. And I like doing sends with this rather than putting this rack on certain things, right? Because then it does that. I'm gonna have a hard time explaining it right now, but with the way that the sends work, it's almost as if you're doing like the parallel processing when you group something like these. You have your wet and your dry chain, right? And you can turn these ones down. It works very similar to like that. Alright, then this one I have here just for fun. It's an infiltrator on some crazy settings from Mr. Bill. This plugin is absolutely madness. It's just madness. This preset in particular adds crazy glitches and fills to whatever you're working on. And I thought it was cool to have that as a send. Last but not least, the master. I have a utility, a little rack, and then some other plugins. We'll start making our way left to right in a minute. So I got a utility. First thing, and I have a utility on here first thing because I like to automate my width. During my builds, I will go like this, and like this. And I do this because it helps to make your drops sound bigger than they are, because you're bringing the automation down for the width slowly on the master, about 50%. And then when the drop happens, boom, we're back really wide. So it really gives the illusion that the drop sounds wider and bigger than it is, because the way you're tightening everything up for that build-up. And same thing, if my drop doesn't sound loud, what I'll do is just EQ it, or EQ it. I'll automate the volume, right? So I have this slowly down, 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 boom, picks back up at the drop. It gives it that same illusion where it sounds like it's getting tighter and tighter, and when the drop happens, it releases all that energy. I have a rack here. Pretty sure I got this rack from Excellent Sounds. Could be mistaken. First thing they did had a utility turning it down 6. I didn't like that. I want my stuff clipping, loud, and distorted. So I turned that off. And again, I make really abrasive dubstep, so this is, you know, what works for me, right? Just some basic mid-side EQing, multi-band dynamics, a little audio effect rack that they've made. Let's take a look at it here. Got some compression going on, saturation, and then they have a glue compressor at the very end. I use this glue compressor at the very end while I'm writing my songs, and then as soon as my song is done and I'm getting ready to do my master, I immediately turn off this glue compressor. I think Pro L does a way better job than the glue compressor. So if you have the money, check out Pro L. So what we'll do is I'll throw an Ozone 9 on this. I don't use the equalizer and I don't use the imager. I just use the maximizer. And I toggle between these two modes and adjust these to get the track, once I'm done and I'm ready to master it, loud, loud, loud. After the Ozone, I throw the Pro L on it. And I'm pretty sure I just have a master setting for myself. And then after that, you got your basics just to help you keep an eye on everything. You got your span, you got your Ozone imager, got your lean loudness meter, and then of course the most important plugin on your master by far. If you do not have this, what are you doing? It's called Cat Jammer. Cat Jammer, look at that thing, man. Perfect. Of course you want that on your screen when you're jamming out to your own 8-bar loop, right? Well, that is pretty much my Ableton template. Yeah. Once you have your Ableton set up how you want it, every time you open it, you're going to go to File, Settings. You are going to go to, sorry, hold up, haven't done this in a minute. Here, File folder, save current set as the default. So once you do it, every time you open it, it'll be how you had it. Super fun video. Glad that I can show you guys my sauce, especially on that master channel, how I mix in all my stuff. Appreciate all the support. Go ahead and make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss a single video. I'll catch you guys in the next one.